It's not me today, guys. It's just him. We'll just let him. Just finish out this opening. You know how it is. What's up, folks? How you doing? Welcome, everybody. There he is. He's here early. See, this is what happens when I start right at 5. We're like right in the middle of call to prayer. But that's how clocks work. Hello, everybody. It's your sniffly tomato coming at you live on a lovely Friday. Fridays are good times. You know why? Because I never know what to do on Fridays. I never streamed on Fridays before, and we just started doing that this year. He's got a great voice. This guy, he's great. He's great at what he does, okay? He obviously, of all the people around who could do this, they picked him. So good for him. He's on his thing. But it's Friday, and luckily we had a monthly report this week, so I figured we could go over the the Squadron 42 update. I'm gonna skim it mostly because a lot of this stuff is stuff that we see in the Star Citizen monthly report as well, but there could be some interesting stuff in here that they talk about Squadron. Maybe a couple tidbits. I'm sure plenty of you have already watched through a walkthrough of this or read it yourselves, but I figured we could talk a little bit about it, see if there's any good news about Squadron going on. And of course, I have not watched Inside Star Citizen yet, so I figured we could pull that up and give this a watch as well. They're talking about Rastar, ground locations, the goods. Some good stuff, actually. Rastar is pretty important. This is what's going to lead to us eventually being able to build our own bases. And this is what's going to make it possible for a lot of more points of interest to come into Star Citizen. So that's our discussion for today. It's going to be a shorter one, guys, because for those of you who know, maybe you don't, if you're a Twitch subscriber, that's right, if you subscribe on Twitch today, the following will apply to you as well. If you're a Ko-fi supporter, YouTube member, Patreon member, you can come join us for our live podcasts, usually on Fridays, sometimes Saturdays, occasionally Sundays. And I am trying to, in honor of Punji and Chat, I see you, Toes Gang, I am trying to get better at letting you guys know beforehand when that's going to happen, because obviously knowing about a podcast 10 minutes before it happens is not super helpful. So today, in a couple of hours, I'm going to have Goat on. Goat is another YouTuber who covers mostly Escape from Tarkov. As you can see, it says his name and then Tarkov. And he had this video come up earlier this summer about, it is not this ad, it is about Star Citizen. It's about kind of the development process of Star Citizen. And he had a lot of commentary on it. He also, I think, just makes really good custom content. So I'm going to have him on the podcast here in a couple hours. Like I said, anybody who is a supporter, come join us live. Ask him a question. Like, weigh in on the conversation and get an ears on the show 3 days before everybody else when it comes out on Monday. Hello. Hi, Ogric, Cantor, Kirsik. How you guys doing today? Thanks for coming in here early. Always appreciate notification, gang. Waffle Insanity out here spitting facts. Probably development news. You're onto something with that one. Adam, good morning. Good morning to ya. Country, Ivan. And the unloading whale. As always. Great Smash Mouth reference for the inside. Yeah, hey, now you're a Rastar. It's a Rastar. You're glad they actually have Rastar working finally. Well, that's what I'm about to see. I don't know where they've been with Rastar. They've talked about it like it's been working, but maybe this episode will give them a little more substantial evidence. If you can't tell from the way I've been wiping my head, it's freaking hot. Like, it's disgustingly hot here right now. It's gross. It's humid. What is the humidity here right now? Let me search. I'm not going to dox myself. What are we looking at? 60% humidity. There's no way. It's telling me that it's only 60% humidity. That's not what my sweaty back is saying. Sorry for that, guys. That's gross. It's usually between like 60 and 90 here in the summer. Oh, God. And this room has no circulation. I complain about it all the time. You guys are tired of hearing about it. This monthly report mentioned the B word. Brit. They're talking about British people in this one. You watched it when it came out. It's really cool. Good to hear. Any update on Squadron 42 going beta? We are going to see. Now, like I said, that podcast is happening in 2 hours, so we are not going to be doing too long a stream today because I do have to get ready for that one. So let's get right into Inside Star Citizen here. Let me start recording real quick and turn down our music. And
there he is!
There he is not. You are wrong about that. All right. So we got a new Inside Star Citizen, and we're doing this one live. Usually I'm doing these pre-recorded. I'm going to take that off the screen here. But we're doing this one live, so thanks for joining me, guys. This one's about Rastar, which is not only their base building tool, but it is a predecessor of whatever tool or feature they end up building for players to build bases. So, like, base building, big deal. It's something a lot of people care about. Last time we heard about Rastar, they were just continuing to improve it, really. They introduced it to us about a couple years ago, and they've mainly been using it for outposts in Pyro. That's where we've been seeing it applied. So today, I think we're going to start to see it applied to UGFs, particularly the ones that came before. I'm excited to see what they talk about it. I'll give context where I can, make witty quips where I can't, and hopefully you enjoy. Let's get into it.
Rastar, first introduced in development at CitizenCon 2951, is the tool that allows developers to easily place and manipulate structures on the surface of planets and moons in systems Stanton, Pyro, and beyond. And in the time since, work's progressed to stabilize and shore up the tech so the team can use it on a whole host of locations.
So that we can use it.
From the most recent derelict settlements to a reconfiguration of existing UGFs in the upcoming Alpha 320.
I have so many questions, honestly, about these existing. I think we talked about this yesterday during the monthly report. Like, the conversation surrounding UGFs is almost entirely focused on Pyro. So it's going to be nice to hear what their whole plan is for these smaller legacy structures that we know of.
Currently in the Stanton system, there are 70 underground facilities, or UGFs as we call them. And
70?
When these were built a couple of years ago, we had the kits to build a wide variety of these assets. However, due to technical limitations, we weren't able to realize their full potential. At that time, we had 70 locations, but we only had 2 security UGFs and 2 drug UGFs. This isn't a case of we haven't had enough assets or enough time to do the art. Up until this point, we have all the things that we need to do the job. The Rastar tool has really just allowed us to take this to the next level. We are now able to go back and to revisit these 70 locations to create a wide amount of variety.
Did you guys know there were 70?
Copy-paste version of the other. This has allowed us to really go back, spend some time with these locations and help them realize their full potential.
Like, honestly, you don't realize, I guess, like, if you think about it, you could say there were like 10 for each planet and or moon, right? 10 for each planet, maybe. That's 40 on its own. And then like 3 for every moon would be another 36. So that'd be 76. Like, that's, I don't have to, math and stuff, right? It ends up being more than I thought it was. Thank you, Radical Jams, for the sub.
Rastar is our in-house planetary location building tool. It uses an RTS placement system combined with modular elements to allow the artist to build locations at the surface of planets and celestial bodies. Since CitizenCon, we highly focus on usability and stability to make the tool rock solid. It's a small project by 3 people, Mark, Nice, and I, and we are excited for the developers to be able to use it now.
It's one of those things that they're working on, but we have no idea about. This is the first time they're really talking about it.
These are not the new UGFs that you've probably heard about in events like CitizenCon. These are just the same old UGFs, but we've just given them a fresh coat of paint, and we're going to be placing them alongside the existing locations and just giving them a bit of a refresh. Let me show you how Rastar works in the engine.
Wait. Did we just go from... Oh, okay. They literally just had this little 10-second segment for the new versus the new.
And them alongside the existing locations and just giving them a bit...
It's actually a good comment in chat I'd like to touch on. So these bunkers are going to be the same? Maybe. I don't know. I don't doubt it if they are. This is definitely going to be an update focused more on the dev side of things than the player side of things, which... Personally, I like for Inside Star Citizen. Tell me more about what it takes to develop the game and less about what new ship you've got coming out for us, Like, this is the stuff that we'll be seeing in 3.20, so I think it is important for them to be touching on this, even if it's not a tangible change, which I would like a tangible change. It's good to hear how their development practices are changing to make things better, because we are all asking the same question. How in the world are they going to do what they've done with Stanton for dozens of other systems? These are the kinds of things that explain it.
Bit of a refresh. Let me show you how Rastar works in the engine. So here we are on Daymar. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek of the Rastar tool in action and how we build up a location from scratch. So the first thing that we would usually do, not in this case with the UGS because they already have predefined locations, but we do a little bit of location scouting on the planet to find a nice, cool location. So I'm going to open up the Rastar tool over here, and the first thing that I need to do is create a location. Before I go any further, I do need to say that the UI for the Rastar tool as it stands is not the final version that the players are going to see at the end of the day. This is purely for artistic and development purposes, and I will say it has definitely come a long way in the
What does he mean by that? We're never gonna see this. Is he trying to get in front of the player-based building stuff again? Because they've said that before. This isn't what we'll see when we're building bases, but I can imagine not.
2 years that I've been using it. So the first thing we do is we create a location. We get this grid on the ground over here, which allows us to define the location size.
Oh, that's new.
Apply different effects and statuses to the location. We have some settings for the aesthetics like dirt and wear, which I can get into in a little bit. But the first thing that I want...
Let me give you guys a bit of a peek at what this used to look like, just so that... Just for some context. Why not, right? This is 2022. You can see it actually was not that much different. They had a bunch of different elements and modules that they could use. So that's 2022. That's last year. Oh, and the grid is there. Never mind. I'm sorry. I thought that was new. So the grid is not new. That's what they've been using since last year. The year before that, it looked like this.
Basically, artists create small parts of homesteads that we can then...
Let me quiet down. So the UI is changing up a little bit, and it looks like it's getting a little bit smoother and more functional for them to use. But generally, it's kept that same look over the last couple of years they've been working on this.
What I want to do is create a much larger location size because I know that I want to cover quite a large footprint. And then we're going to go ahead and add an element from the UGF main buildings. And let's add a drug one to the mix over here. So that's going to be the base building that everything is dressed around. That's going to be the center point of this location. The cool thing that Rastar enables us to do is also have certain modifiers and volumes applied to our object containers so that, for example, if I were to move this location up, the terrain would automatically conform to the ground.
Oh, that's nice.
That just saves art.
That is such a huge change from what they used to have. The whole reason we didn't have more substantial points of interest in this game is because they couldn't, oh, I don't think I have a video of that. They couldn't add these structures into the game in large numbers because every single update, the Planet Tech wasn't finished. So every single update, the Planet Tech would reshift all of the topography of a planet or moon, and these places would end up underground. So they've gone from not only having that more permanent planetary geology that they can place these locations on, now it looks like they can move these locations where they want, and the planet will actually update to accommodate that. I hope that stands for things like mountaintops, maybe a cliffside outcropping. You can have a base that's kind of on the side of a mountain. That's a nice quality of life.
The terrain would automatically conform to the ground that needs to be. That just saves artists a lot of time from having to do these sort of things manually and allows us to focus on the creative side of things. The next thing we need is 3 turrets. These turrets, depending on whether you are at a security UGF or a drug UGF, will react in different ways to the player. Obviously more hostile in a drug environment than if you were in a normal friendly environment. So these will go just dotted around the place. And
so
these currently don't have any...
I think we can like officially call these legacy UGFs from now on to help differentiate between these and the new UGFs they talked about.
Turrets spawned on them, but they do that when I hop into game. The next thing we want to do is we want to focus on large to small shapes and dressing. So the first thing I might do over here when walking through this process is get some of these larger clusters, these shipping containers.
Gross.
The UGFs are used for storage as well as research, so having ample space for storage outside as well as in is always good to have.
Gross boxes.
And now I just want to define like the footprint of the space, so dividing it up into sub-areas as well as the larger UGFs. So we can have, you know, maybe some structures like research stations and habitations on the exterior, and just break that into little branches of spaces. We might have one over here, and then maybe let's spread this location out a little bit. Maybe let's have a little bit of dressing near these turrets. So I'll grab one of these clusters. Cool thing with Rastar, you can also do like quick rotates before you place stuff, so you have a good idea of what stuff is going to look like before you do. Just like to get a little bit of unevenness to the terrain over here, helps things from feeling too flat.
God, I bet they must love that adjusting the terrain feature.
And let's get one of these larger structures in the back over here, these sort of like chimneys. So this is how I would normally go about creating like 3 distinct separate locations, even within one larger point of interest. So now the point from this afterwards.
All right, so here's the biggest problem I have with these locations. There's no point for any of this. The only thing that matters with these UGFs is what's underneath the elevator on top. And I know that's more on the gameplay features teams, the sandbox teams to like fill this with content. But he's talking about the distinct locations, and I'm just like, I don't know why I would ever go to them. And that's what I'm really hoping to see with the new UGFs and their bigger structure, landing pads, lobbies, underground areas. Like, it seems like they're looking to make more use out of those places. These locations always feel like basically a single room to me. I don't know about you guys. You go down, you get into like one main room, maybe 2 main rooms, you shoot some people, and then you leave. It's just a room underground. So as much as I appreciate how the tool is working, the locations in particular, not my bag of candy. I don't think that's a term.
Would be to just create paths leading to and from the UGF that would naturally draw the player in, and then to set dress with smaller elements. So there's some more functional things that I do need to do first. For example, the UGF does come with these 3 floodlights, but we might need extra areas of illumination elsewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and place some extra floodlights around here. When the Rastar tool is turning red like that, it's just doing a collision check on all of the objects around it to make sure I'm not placing anything on top of each other, and just making sure everything is kept neat and tidy. So I might need to just place it over there, and then if I want it closer, I can always snap it to a surface closer. Now that everything should be able to be visible at any time of day or night, since we are working with a very dynamic time of day over here, now I want some more functional things like roads leading up towards the UGF. So we have these over here. Might be a little bit small to see. Just like a generic path that leads up to the UGF. I'm just going to do a quick rotate over these. And then, of course, all of our normal editor functionality is also linked to the Rastar location. So, for example, if I want to align this road to the UGF, then I can just rotate that.
Did he just say
Make
road?
sure everything's nice and centered and where it needs to be. Okay, so now that I have my roads placed, I have my floodlights placed, I know I'm not going to be crashing into anything in terms of placing stuff at the Rastar location. Now I can go ahead and do a little bit of dressing around here. So getting in some small shapes, just some scatter around the location. Then I'll go ahead and grab some of the more functional looking things. That one. Structure 8. Some big shapes over here that we can surround. Go, have the terrain adjust to that. And then bring in some of these. Just got to make sure that things aren't intersecting or clipping between each other too much, because that never looks good. And let's start building this out a little bit more. So this is the process that we follow to create a fully fledged location. We set dress all the different elements. We play it from a player perspective, because sometimes scale can be a little bit funny up in the air like this. But this is the general process that we go through in order to create these locations and make sure that they are fun to play, essentially.
I mean, so
yeah, that is a quick little
They're
sneak
almost done.
peek at the Rastar tool and how it allows us to very quickly iterate on our different locations and to make changes very quickly, and also to realize the potential of locations that we dropped years ago, but now that this tool really allows to let them shine.
So what's next for Rastar is to move away from building block, which gave us a really great start, to further integrate it into the editor.
And again, these are not the new UGFs, these are just the new UGFs. Someone from the lore or the story department probably needs to come up with a better name for that. But we're not erasing any of the work we've done in the past, we're just building upon and improving. And these will sit alongside the big, colossal UGFs when they are released.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that Rastar may still run on programmer art, but it's a fully armed and operational tool already in use by our developers. That with it, the existing UGFs, limited to only 4 variations until now, are finally realizing their customization potential in the upcoming Alpha 320. And that its next evolution already well underway. Now, don't forget that this year's Ship Showdown is right around the corner. Of course, it's your annual chance to vote on which flyable ship has to become John Crew's favorite each and every year. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the process of game development with you, and we'll see you all here next week.
okay. All right. So, like we determined in the beginning, yes, these are going to be the same. From what we've seen, this is entirely a developer-facing improvement that they're showing here. And like I said, I do like hearing that in Inside Star Citizen. I think getting a better idea of how they're going to make this stuff work is really nice. But this didn't quite do it for me. First, I want to say thank you. Oh, username. Thanks for the super chat. It's your birthday today, bro. Thanks for dropping in. Check out the Discord when you get a chance. Your name might be on top. You get that birthday roll. Yeah, that's right. I looked at your Google Calendar. I know when you're changing ages. So this one didn't really do it for me. There's a couple things I think could have made this a lot better. First, I saw somebody say that this felt like a small Star Citizen Live, like the game dev one. Yeah, it really did. This was less about, I think, explaining the changes, and they put all of their energy into just showing the process. I think probably getting some insight into what this process looked like before the Rastar update would have made a lot bigger impact for us seeing this now. Like, literally what he's doing looks like what we would expect for this to be, right? So them giving this to us as an improvement that they want to show off, I don't think they set our expectations well to understand why this is an improvement. There are some really nice things that I saw, like the terrain, the rotation tool, how quickly he could load things in there. That all looked good, but there's not a lot of context there. Besides that, I think we also probably could have used some more context on how these are fitting into the overall game. Because like he said, these aren't the new UGFs. These are the old UGFs built on the new system. And these will be beside the colossal UGFs we see later. Does that mean those other big UGFs will be in Stanton besides these? Will these continue to only be for security and drugs? This is and he's probably not the one who can answer that, but that's one of the problems that I think we run into with these kinds of Inside Star Citizens, is that we got one perspective on something that we kind of already have the perspective of. I showed you the Rastar improvements they showed us from last year, which are not as updated, not as clean looking as what we just saw, but pretty similar. So it's nice to know how Rastar is developing. I don't think this is an Inside Star Citizen's worth of content. You could tell from the 11-minute runtime that they didn't really have much to put into it. Maybe an extra say from one of the sandbox teams would have been nice. But yeah, that's Inside Star Citizen for today. And we didn't really get to see on the inside either, but Rastar isn't going to do anything on inside. Rastar is completely focused on placing things on planets and making sure that they work on those planets. In that case, I like what we're seeing. I can't wait until they can automate this process, have Rastar build out, literally build a planet, and then have Rastar build out the bases around that planet while that river system builds out the rivers, and maybe like a cave system does the caves. The closer and closer they move to that reality, the happier I get. But for now, it does feel a little bit, this one was a little bit lackluster, despite the subject, I think, being a really good subject. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll hear more about Rastar for the time being, so this is what we've got. Maybe we'll hear more at CitizenCon. Either way, thanks for checking it out. I think we've all seen enough of these types of videos to know how they place stuff on a planet. I will say the terrain deformation is new. I don't think they've ever shown that off before. So it's probably the one thing that made this episode worthwhile watching. That's super powerful. I'm not a game dev, but I feel like that's really freaking powerful, especially knowing how much of this game was held back by this very problem. Don't be too excited for CC. I have a feeling it's going to be underwhelming. CC? What is CC? Oh, CitizenCon. I mean, CitizenCon will always have good news. People are always underwhelmed by it. I am always happy with it. I think that people expect a bit too much. CitizenCon is a development update. It's not a gameplay update per se, which is why I don't think they should do a keynote. They probably will do a keynote, but I'm interested in CitizenCon because we're going to get to hear things about probably a lot of stuff. I mean, we just had a podcast about this last week. There's so many things that they've been working on that they're not talking about, and CitizenCon is probably what they're waiting to talk about it at. Execute, dude, do I see you in chat? Hey, man. How you doing on vacation, man? You healthy? You good? You having fun? What's up, buddy? Wonder how much the operator can customize his Rastar interface. I want it in pink. You were expecting something with the interior work, not just decoration outside that has no gameplay. Yeah, I don't think Rastar is going to touch on the interior. I believe for the interior of these places, they're using Houdini. Houdini mixed with Mighty Bridge, little 1-2 punch to get it working in the engine. That's what we're going to be looking for if we want to hear interior stuff. Sorry about the negativity, but I'm just feeling frustrated with the game. Very slow development speed and the lack of new features coming. My friend, I'm right there with you. Oh, I'm perpetually frustrated with the speed and the lack of new features. You sure the previous one they showed they can edit or change the inside areas, and they used an example of pyro settlements using the Rastar, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, they were using that for settlement stuff, not UGF stuff. Oh, you're expecting to see Terra at CitizenCon? My friend. That's dangerous. That's a dangerous expectation to have. Yeah, I think if anybody hasn't gotten the idea that I am also frustrated with the lack of information we've received this year, I don't know how much more clear to make it. But trust me, you're not alone. We are all annoyed with it. And everybody is free to, we are not all annoyed with it. Plenty of people are perfectly fine with what's going on. I'm not going to group everybody together. But everybody can express that in different ways. I get annoyed with stuff, but I don't really like to put it out there. I will talk about it as I do now on the stream. But in general, I'm more interested in the interesting stuff. I try to ignore the annoying stuff. Could be a recipe for disaster. Who knows? CitizenCon is more about the people, in your opinion. The news is just icing on top. That's, yeah. I mean, if you're going to CitizenCon, you definitely don't go for the news, right? Lacking new features, 320 is rife with new features as of the most recent roadmap update. Not necessarily new features coming into the game. I think more so new features being talked about. We could go through... I mean, I could probably pull a list off the top of my head. Platforming. Let's see. Platforming, EVA Tier 2, player interaction, FPS scanning, star map, interior map, new HUDs, new MFDs, bounty hunting gameplay, quantum economy, server meshing, replication layer, PES matchmaking service, refining gameplay, refueling gameplay, engineering gameplay. We've gotten some decent talk on engineering, actually. I'll leave that one out. But that's like 10 plus features that they have told us about in the last year and then just stopped talking about. I will say they've given us an update on EVA Tier 2 in the monthly report, and we heard about some platforming stuff in the last monthly report as well. But I think the thing is that nothing is leaving monthly reports. We're hearing about a ton of good stuff in monthly reports, as we're about to in the Squadron monthly report here, and it's not being explained any further, and I think that's really starting to give people, at least it's giving me, a lot of like, what's going on with that stuff? You know, I don't, normally I wouldn't really care too much. It's just the idea that like we've gone from this period of knowing a lot to now things have changed and we don't know as much, and I think that's got a little bit of whiplash to it. Like player skills are, from what I know, there are two categories of features. There are features that we've known about for a long time that they have gone into detail talking about, particularly in the engineering documents for Star Citizen. So if you look at these, there's like a collection of documents on their website you can go to and check out. And they've got, let's see, where's the... Oh, no, this isn't what I want. Here we go, design notes. It's like a ton of design notes on the website. You can go in here and you can look at ship repair, you can look at civilian transport, cargo interaction, FPS gameplay, ship mass. Like there's a lot of stuff they've detailed here that players might hear about now and think is feature creep because it's just now getting introduced. But in reality, you can come in here and read all the details of how this very in-depth gameplay is supposed to work in the game. So when it comes in, you kind of have an idea of what's expected. Then there's other things like Star Citizen's Master Modes, which is something that was introduced... Hey, it's my video. Something that was introduced to us last year at CitizenCon. I don't really have a... I guess here's like threads from October last year. And we got multiple videos, an entire Star Citizen Live talking about it, right? So you have this category of features that they've started introducing recently, and they have just annihilated us with detail. We know so much about it, whether that be new outposts or new underground facilities or master modes. Then you have these old things that are coming up that we didn't really know that much about, but they have these documents that explain them. Things like salvage, cargo refactor, passenger transport. But then you have things like this new player character skill, which they talked about at CitizenCon last year for about 4 minutes, and then never again. And they keep giving us updates on that, telling us that they're developing it, they're working on it, this is what we're doing, but they never really explain it that much. And I feel like there's not really any other features in the game like that. Most of them fall into these two categories. And having features going into development like that, getting super deep, getting a bunch of updates on it, but not really getting told what it's about, combined with the fact that now we're seeing all of these other features that are going into development, probably for the 4.x branch of updates, I understand why people are starting to feel like there is just a limit on what we're being told. And for a game that's all about open development, I wouldn't have a problem with it if it wasn't, but that's been a huge reason that I've been a big fan of this game. It's why I started covering this game. And I do hope that they're not starting to stray away from that. Why is Star Map, the one we have, is working just fine and it's amazing? True. It is the best Star Map we could want. But they keep telling us that they're working on another one. So, like, shouldn't we ask about it? Again, a lot of the stuff showing up in monthly reports. It's just that they're treating the monthly reports like they're in a vacuum. People need to play other games, go outside, keep perspective. Streamers' problems are unique and they have problems regular players don't, which seems to skew the conversation on dev progress and stability. That's perhaps the case, yeah. I definitely draw more focus to the development than the game itself. I think there are content creators that are only focusing on the game itself, and you could get a different perspective from either of those things. Just navigate by yourself. At the very least, I'd like to be able to search things in the star map. That'd be nice. Your guess will be gameplay scripted showcase of bounty hunting with some hacking. Ooh, that'd be nice to see hacking. Can't wait for Starfield. Think that game will be a great game that fills the hole that so many want filled by Star Citizen. I do think that's, yeah. I think that a lot of people are going to get a nice dose of space game from Starfield that they've been waiting for. Stop referring to it as a game and remember that it is a project. Indeed. You think CIG suffers from people who are mad about development are older than... Are older? No. People who are mad about development are older than those who understand, and it's damned if you do and damned if you don't situation. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, I think there's both misunderstanding of how development works and also CIG making their own mistakes and like making decisions that maybe don't turn out the best. I don't know. We all take on personal projects. We all probably do a great job at some personal projects with a couple weird problems and mistakes in there. And we probably also do terrible at personal projects with great decisions in there. It's easy to not do it all perfectly. Star mapping game is horrible to define that. When you click on a location, half the time you have to fight the star map to click the location you want to go to. Yeah, I actually really despise the star map. Think about the new star map and we can't use it because of bugs. That would suck. I would hope the new star map would come in working a little bit better though. They should remove buying ships with in real life money. Damien, that would mean the game doesn't get made. That would probably end up killing the whole project. Is the Squadron 42 report on the site? No, they email it to you. So you have like a little subscription list. You just go onto your profile and like tick a box or something like that, and they'll send it to your email box whenever it comes out. You know they're working on a star map, but you hope they don't allow you to pin everything. There's something about navigating through landmarks that's nice. Interesting. I hadn't heard that argument before. Once the game is good, they transition to subscriptions. Oh. I don't think they'll ever do subscriptions in this game. Money isn't an issue on this project. They are just releasing more content to get more money. So are you of the opinion that they're like they don't need to pay employees? What do you mean money is not an issue? How would they pay the developers if they're not making money? Make it make sense. Star map is the only thing that successfully manages to frustrate you. Oh man, what a holdover the star map is too. It's been around for like 6 years. The reason you support is because you can support by giving them money for spaceships. No money is an issue. They are at a spend limit. I'll tell you this, Damien, have you looked at their financial reports to make that assessment? Or is that just kind of hearsay? The Arc star map won't be in game, but I think their new target star map is supposed to be kind of like it. You want to be able to lock on the coordinates and fly there? I think having the choice is nice. Okay, let's dip into the Squadron 42 report here real quick. Like I said, probably gonna skim this one. because... Oh, actually, there's more than just AI tech in here. Look at that. Okay, we'll try and cover all the bits that weren't in the monthly report from yesterday. So, Godwins, thanks for coming and checking these out. Happy to do them. It's fun to talk about this game. All right. So starting off first here with the Squadron 42 report. Somebody asked in the beginning, actually. Can I zoom in? There we go. Yeah. There's not really much graphical fun to this monthly report. So there's... What was I even saying? I don't know. Oh, somebody was asking at the beginning of this, what is Squadron 42? This is a separate game from Star Citizen, created by the same company, started around the same time, and it is a single-player, narrative, kind of cinematic space opera kind of game. It's not like Mass Effect space opera. It's more like, I don't know, Starship Troopers space opera kind of thing. It's very much a military campaign. So it's not quite on the rails, but you can't just go on and do your own thing all the time. So less of an open scenario than Star Citizen, but more important to them to release. It's what's getting most of their effort and most of their developer time and money. As was said before, money is a problem because they're putting most of it towards Squadron 42, which means Star Citizen is getting robbed. And that's kind of the actual scam. Most of the money we're paying for these ships that we fly in Star Citizen is going to a different game. If CIJ removed purchasable ships, people like yourself would be gone, no questions asked. If on top of everything you'd have to deal with the constant wipes, you're never playing this game, nor would you bother to tune into SC streamers. The fact that your only ship is safe from wipes is the only thing keeping you interested for now. You do intend to save and buy another ship, but if they took that safety net away, you're gone and never looking back. For the people upset about buying ships, which I haven't, because I haven't played this yet, but it's clear that it's the main thing that brings in revenue. They don't run ads, so monetization. They've got to make money somehow. I understand after Squadron 42 comes out, being a little more annoyed with the ship sales, but like, what else can you do? How much do I think Squadron 42 needs to make? I can't make that call. It's so hard to like judge this. People always talk about how they've made so much money and they should have done everything they need to do by now. Does anybody know how much money it takes to build a game engine? Because I've been researching that. I've been trying to figure that out. And it's not easy. Because most companies build their game engines throughout the process of building their games. So like, if you wanted to try and compare the production, the development of like, say, the Creation engine from Bethesda to the Star engine for Star Citizen, you'd have to go all the way back to the Gamebryo engine, figure out how that development occurred, then figure out what direct development went into the engine to make it build Skyrim, which I think was the first game built on the Creation engine, and then figure out how that developed from Skyrim to Fallout 4 to 76 to now Starfield. But then you'd also have to break that cost out of the cost it took to build those 4 different games in order to compare that to what Star Citizen has been doing. So like the whole apples to apples comparison, how much money does this take? How much money does that take? I don't know. I feel like this is our use case. This is where we start to figure out how much money it takes, and then we compare other people to this afterward. Don't they got shareholders also? No, they don't have any shareholders. They have one investment group. They made an investment towards the marketing fund. I don't remember their name. But besides that, no shareholders. They have enough money. Hardy Har, what do you judge them having enough money by? I would not to pick on you, but I'm going to pick on you. What is enough money? Do they have enough money to survive for 10 years paying their employees? They have enough money to finish the work that they're currently working on? They have enough money to finish out the year? They have enough money to complete the bases we just watched on ISC? What is enough? Yeah, and it's not just the game engine. Keeping the game running, keeping the servers up, That's also stuff. Most games don't take this long to still be in beta. Right, but most games aren't built alongside the alpha, the engine. That is such a big caveat that people look over when they say that games don't take this long. Starfield started development in 2016. Cyberpunk started development in 2012. Both those games took 8+ years to make without an engine needing to be built. So how do you judge how long those games needed to be in alpha? Especially since they were single player games. Let's take something like Fallout 76. For that to have launched in a stable, proper manner without being as broken as it is, how much longer would that have been past its launch date? How long were they working on it? Was it in alpha without us even knowing about it? We can't make these statements without actually having the proof, you know? And I'm happy to find the proof. Like I said, I've been trying to do a script on what it takes to build a game engine. I started it a year and a half ago. I still haven't been able to do all the research for it. But this topic is so much deeper than just having a short conversation about how much it's cost. As of February 2023, SC has made $550 million. And why is that enough money? You said that they have enough money to finish the game. You believe that $550 million is enough money to finish the game based on what? Cyberpunk actually started in 2016. My bad. They announced Cyberpunk in 2012. Who knows what they did with it after that? Last financial report showed they run break even, but that was back in 2021. By now they have many more employees and indeed more money, but it's not that they have 5 million on the bank. Right. True, Joseph. It's never enough because they keep feature creeping. I don't think they're feature creeping. That's actually a conversation I'd like to have too. Besides this skill progression system, I'd be interested in hearing from you guys what you think has been feature creep in the last few years. Because I'm putting a video out tomorrow that says I don't think they've really done much feature creep. But I don't really talk to people that much about it. I think what does happen is the features that are in the game end up becoming more complicated because of other features. So like mining ends up becoming more complicated because tractor beams and persistent entity streaming work. So now mining, instead of just being a process where you shoot a laser, go to a refinery and turn it in, it's now shoot a laser, change out the components, change out the bags, move the bags around, bring your refinery ship. And that could feel like feature creep, but I'm not sure if it actually is. If they don't keep up at least 100 million per year, this game may be in danger. Polish creep? That looks like Polish creep, like some kind of dance. Do the Polish creep, bro. Sorry. They keep expanding what each profession does. Well, which one would you say they've expanded on? I think bounty hunting, I could see that. Because they brought in the virtual AI with the economy. And they weren't really talking about that back in the day. Startups don't work like that. They never have. What is that, Vlas? National activity reserved for celebrations only, the Polish creep. I want there to be a dance called the Polish creep now. That's great. GTA 6 apparently has been in development since 2014 and still in development? That'd be... Dang. When did RDR2 come out? Wasn't that like 2017, 2018? Oh, you're responding. Okay. Star Wars Eclipse also is sounding like it's going to be like an 8 to 9 year development cycle game. And that's Quantic Dream game. Like, full narrative branching conversations, yes, but you're not doing a bunch of custom internet stuff, unless maybe it's a live service Quantic Dream game now. Why do people think this stuff doesn't happen behind NDAs at other devs? Seems like an obtuse argument that's almost in bad faith. From what you hear from game devs, you know this stuff happens all the time in studios. Well, we've seen it. Cyberpunk 2077 released videos saying they would have features, and then a year and a half later when they released the game, didn't have those features. Because they aren't in a situation where they can just delay the feature and come back to it when the tech exists. They're in the situation where they have to just cancel the feature and release the game. It's the same thing, just a different result. 8 to 10 years, actually not bad timing. We just normally don't see it from the beginning. Yeah, absolutely. Which is why it's even a little bit weirder when a AAA studio releases a trailer 8 years early. Because, like, were y'all doing stuff before that? You saw a good post breaking down CIG's expenses. Looks like they put almost all of the rev towards actually making the game and not pocketing it. They got employees to pay, that's for sure. They also canned co-op. Did they really? I remember that they were talking about a Cyberpunk multiplayer game, right? That was going to follow after Cyberpunk 2077. Something like that. Oh, that would have been so cool. A Cyberpunk multiplayer game. Have to step way back later, no problem. Wonder how much they spent on acquiring Turbulent. Yeah, that'd be interesting. They've been working with them for a while. Surprised it took this long. You don't see skills as feature creep. They will already have those variables in the game because they define the character and are changed via gear. They can just implement the changeover activity. True, but it is technically a feature that was not existent before. Like it wasn't a stretch goal. It wasn't on like the progress track or the roadmap. I think that, you know what else? Flak ammo. I don't know if they ever mentioned flak ammo, but I think that's something else that I saw. And I was like, oh, obviously you expect it. It's a military shooter, so flak ammo makes sense. But when that come in, I was kind of like, okay, that's not something we've talked about before, but ammo types are a thing, so I wouldn't really count that either. I don't think there's really been that much feature creep in the last few years. Let's make that very clear. You think feature creep would be the Chris sees something cool and wants it to be a part of an upcoming feature and then gets delayed to add said feature? That's fair, and we might not hear about that part. Very fair. All right, let's talk about AI content, folks. We got a podcast to get to in an hour. By the way, anybody who didn't hear already, if you're a supporter, Twitch, YouTube, Patreon, whatever you do, wherever you sub, you have access to our live podcast, and I will be having a guest on in about an hour over on the Discord server. We'll be talking about Star Citizen from the perspective of somebody who doesn't play it, generally doesn't cover it, and has only, I think, sort of an outside view with a little bit of coverage on it. His name is Goat. He's a Escape from Tarkov YouTuber, and I think we're gonna have a good talk with some interesting takes. So if you are a supporter, join us for that. Ask some questions. Get in there. Did I say ask questions? Ask those questions. All right, last month, AI content made strategic decisions to concentrate resources on a single location, which brought several benefits. One being a more iterative review process, as they now meet daily with leadership and receive detailed feedback, allowing them to raise the quality bar to a shippable level. Additionally, this fostered great teamwork and knowledge sharing among team members, expanding developer skill sets. That's good. They also progressed with the hangar and mess hall locations. In the hangar, they introduced an overseer behavior that underpins supervisors for the deck crew, ordnance officers, and fuelers. These supervisors dynamically interact with their colleagues using data pads and oversee their work. Wow! Similar to a middle manager role. That's the person we all hate, right? The person who doesn't actually have work to do, so they just walk around with a data pad checking on everybody else. Shout out to my middle managers in chat. We love you. For the landing officer, they drew inspiration from aircraft carrier takeoff and landing videos to create realistic deck crew actions. In the mess hall, scripted AI was added alongside random systemic interactions. This allows the team to implement more interesting actions that might be challenging to achieve with a solely systemic approach. For example, a new edition sees NPCs watch and react to a TV show. See, this is straight up Bedsheets 2.0, right? Somebody's got to be looking at this and being like, Star Citizen, we don't care if NPCs look at a TV. Wasted development time. Like, because that's basically how the Bedsheets happened. But here they are. This is why the Squadron 42 report is a little bit different. It focuses more on the stuff you'd see in a campaign game, as opposed to from just some MMO you're playing. Just basically, when you're reading this, imagine Red Dead Redemption 2 in space. In July, AI features improved the quality of various behaviors, including unrestraining. That would suck. NPCs could only restrain and could never unrestrain. For example, AI can now wake up while restrained and call out to others to come and rescue them. That's annoying. That's going to be the double tap moment. Username, going to get breakfast, take care. Hope everyone has a great rest of their days. Thank you. Happy birthday, bro. I hope you have a good one, doing some good special stuff, having a good time. Enjoy your Friday, enjoy your weekend, man. Only thing that bothers you is the sale of ship skins and then not adding them to in-game stores. I wish it was easier to just get ship skins in-game, to be honest. Hellcat, enjoy your music making. It seems they concentrate on so many small details without the larger elements being in place. This is actually, the AI teams are pretty far along. Like AI, the AI development we've seen over the last year, I think is the kind of thing that's going to lead to them doing more of the polishing stuff. Just in general, I think the AI teams do like weird-ish things because of AI behaviors. But I see what you mean. Never know if we're close or really far away. It's so hard to tell. Yeah, I don't even... This is why I don't read the Squadron 42 reports. Yeah, this is for Squadron 42. Let's see, where were we? They also developed interfaces and behaviors for AI-driven vehicles equipped with specific radar gadgets. This enables the AI to locate enemies when they hide or move out of sight. Solid. Work continued on close combat encounters to ensure that the AI locomotion performance looks good, which included integrating new performance capture animations. Environmental searches were also improved to allow NPCs to evaluate their environment and then attempt to flank their target using cover locations. The team are currently... We see this stuff. Like, they showed us AI doing this stuff already. So I guess, yeah, work continued, not necessarily, yeah, improved. These aren't things being made, they're just things being polished. The team are currently improving the combat behavior that allows NPCs to use medpens to heal themselves in combat. AI features continue to implement Buddy AI, yay buddies, including a behavior that enables the buddy to crouch and locomote between cover. Buddies now, can we stick to calling them buddies? Can we make this a lore thing? That's canon now, right? All NPCs that are friendly to you are just automatically buddies. Buddies now also have improved reviving, acknowledging when the player is downed or unconscious. With voice lines such as, "Hey, player 1, your buddy has arrived, don't worry." "Hey, player, I see you've been downed. Not to worry, your buddy has a med pen." Ah, buddies. On the animation side, polish was done on a variety of features, including grenade throwing, healing, unrestraining, crouched sharp turns, and weapon reloads. That's such a unique thing. All right, we're going to skip AI tech because we did see some AI tech stuff in Star Citizen. Looks like it's navigation, voids, subsumption, usables, perception. Yeah, we already seen all that. Okay. AI on the vehicle side of things, though, focused on supporting level design throughout July. Vehicle AI has a significant impact on level design, especially for flight chapters. So time was spent looking into issues, supporting designers, and adding new features. Further work was done to integrate the new vehicle aiming system into AI. NPC pilots will make use of the new system just like players, which has resulted in significantly improved AI accuracy. Though this requires balancing They now have much more control than before. Cover me, battle buddy! Improvements and changes were made to atmospheric flight. Now, when in atmosphere, AI fly with control surfaces. What? Huh? Have they been... That's weird. How can they fly with control surfaces if that's not even been built? Okay. Dogfighting refers to a more traditional get-on-your-six style of combat. As part of this, the team wanted to give players more opportunities to get behind the AI. So now, enemies occasionally make mistakes and break away, leaving windows they didn't before. That's fun. This has resulted in a far more enjoyable experience. I will probably never see any of those windows to get them on. All Mrs. Tomato has mentioned in chat, by the way, guys, we got a new giveaway going. I will need to get an updated tweet out about that, but we have a Nomad giveaway going for a ship package. And for those of you who use Twitch, you're going to be able to use your Twitch channel points to get more entries into this giveaway this time. So we've put those up there. You can click that button as many times as your heart allows or your bank account in this stream allows, and get a couple extra entries. Of course, there's always secret codes that'll be showing up in videos, and all supporters will get those secret codes at the end of the month. So cheers. If you want a copy of Star Citizen, or maybe just a Nomad, which is kind of a sleeper, really good ship, check that out. The team continued work on background and systemic AI, taking a larger role in driving visual fidelity. They also kicked off reload animations for enemy Spec Ops weapon types, and began implementing 2 high-intensity combat fights. Yeah, there you go. Giveaway, exclamation point giveaway will make that come up for you guys if you want that. They're also currently making updates to player-prone animations and adding an increased number of player interactions to improve immersion in specific environments. We also saw this on the facial side and mocap. Audio team. We read a lot of audio yesterday. Let's see. They continue their ongoing work of tagging generic animations with new Foley sound effects. This will add to immersion game-wide, including non-gameplay scenes. I would like the walking and running sounds to be updated. MGL, how you doing? How have you been, dude? It's been a little while. Audio also assessed the workload of the planned flight experience improvements, identifying areas of tech that need developing or improving. Alongside this, the technical sound team will soon begin writing up a new vibration system. Ooh. To amplify the tension and immersion of dogfights and large space battles to greatly improve the overall flight experience. Pretty sure I read that yesterday, and I had the exact same reaction. SC Live is live. Thank you. I won't be getting into Star Citizen Live today, because I'm going to be doing my podcast in a little while here. What is that? Star Citizen Live is about, gosh, it's a game dev Star Citizen Live, right? So, I'm not sure how much info we'll be getting in that one. Always stream in the morning when I'm usually asleep. I haven't caught a stream in a while. No problem. I get you. The morning streams can, yeah, they can get people. When we're in the US, they'll be a little bit later in the day. Did I see the alternative audio when fighting in space someone created? Yes, that is a hybrid V audio. Medical gameplay. Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's see. Imagine having more viewers than the Star Citizen channel. Oh yeah, it's a game dev episode. Now we'll stick to the monthly report. Skylark, thank you for the appreciate you with that sub. Thanks so much. Thank you for all you do and your partner do. Oh, thank you for all you and your partner do for the community. You are appreciated. Thank you. Me and Mrs. Tomato love this community. And hope it lives healthy for a long time. Where is the next capital ship? That would be the Polaris. And it is probably a year and a half away at minimum. All right, the engine team, everything that was done on the engine team looks like it was done on the other side. That makes sense. They're using the same engine. So let's go to features. July saw work begin on the in-game sim pod, where players can load into different simulations to practice their skills. This is how we're supposed to access Arena Commander. Not from the main menu. You're supposed to go into your ship or your hangar and like sit down in this little virtual reality machine and play a video game inside of the video game. And these sim pods are kind of the answer for that. This was a fairly involved process where we needed to teleport the player into a new environment, change their loadout and status, change the game mode and game rules, and restore everything back again when the simulation has finished. It's not like the Matrix. If you die in the simulation, you don't die in the real world. Yay! I don't like dying in the real world. Wait, they mean our real world or the Star Citizen real world? That's too much. Keckle is what I say to that. Is it just me, or has CIG held more stuff in secret this year because of the longer Citizen Con? I don't know why they've done it, but they have, yeah, they've shared less information than expected. Chicken, glad you like the videos. Hope you like the streams. Thanks for hanging out. Elsewhere, a pass was done on formation flying based on feedback from the ongoing mission reviews. This led to various changes, including how players join the formation, the way it flies to match the orientation of the leader, and numerous UI updates. Progress was also made on the mini-map, including culling markers outside of the camera view and clipping important markers to the view edge. New markers for dangerous objects such as grenades and missiles were added to both the mini-map and star map too. So that is to say that the mini-map is a separate thing from the star map, I guess, kind of. Like we were debating that yesterday. Last month, the vehicle features team worked alongside the level design teams to close out various chapters and improve how the game plays and feels. One of these key areas is the vehicle aiming and gunnery systems. As part of this, the team explored options to make aiming more challenging, which is partially driven by the slightly overpowered auto gimbal system. New aiming modes, dynamic zooming on targets, and other elements will make the combat experience more engaging. So these are all the kinds of high polished things that are being put into Squadron 42 for testing that we're not going to see in Star Citizen for a while. These are also the kinds of things that's like, when you say things like, oh, look at the gameplay in Star Citizen. If it's at that stage, then Squadron 42 is probably not ready for release. So I guess the way they're doing this makes that kind of untrue, because these things seem like they're going to be added to Squadron 42 way before they would come to Star Citizen, which could put Squadron up to a year ahead of Star Citizen in terms of the gameplay. But I would still say, when it comes to the Star Citizen combat experience, remember that things like aiming modes, zooming on targets dynamically, the different gunnery system, like all of the kind of stuff we read in these is stuff eventually that's going to improve that experience. Hey, if I gotta match my leader as they fly into a building, I'll match my leader as they fly into a building. I'm true to the formation. All right. Control surfaces was finalized last month, with the team making UI changes to show additional information, including stall speed, selected mode, and thruster and control surface. Further control options will be considered following playtesting. That's really big. But I don't think it's as big as it sounds. Control surfaces, it's big because control surfaces are another one of those things that don't get talked about. Kind of like the player skill stuff. But we've seen enough of the flight model changes to understand where control surfaces is coming from. That being finalized for Squadron 42 could mean it's only working for a few ships. because they haven't talked about it that much, we don't know if this is a change that will be applied to parts and structure on ships that already exist, or if this is a change much like engineering that requires them to go to each ship to update it to function with this system. Either way, control surfaces are one of those things that's going to make it much harder to fly in atmosphere. This, combined with engineering, combined with wear and tear, is probably going to lead to more people flying in the game less. We made a video about that earlier this year. There's going to be a pretty substantial amount of people in this game who just aren't interested in flying, at least not in atmosphere, because it's going to end up being more difficult than it's worth for a lot of different ships and a lot of different situations, and you probably just want to have a good pilot with you. Not to say that you have to have somebody else with you, just that, like, if you want the best of the best, you might have to focus on getting good at flying with control surfaces. What these do are they simulate the lift, the drag, and all of those sort of air resistance qualities that come with flying in an atmosphere. So doesn't matter in space, but these will definitely change the way we fly on planets. Vehicle features also began supporting the physics team with physical damage tech, which requires a lot of lower level vehicle system refactors. This will update vehicles to use much more modern systems in the engine and work far better with physical damage and other recent features. July's work on multifunction displays focused on scanning. This is by far the most complex MFD screen, showing information from the scanned target and allowing players to find out about its internal components by utilizing a deeper scan. This is now working as intended. Okay, guys, I don't like the Squadron 42 monthly report. I don't read these. This is like the first time I've read one of these in over a year, and I don't like it. They talk about too much stuff I'm interested in that I know I'm not going to see. Like, they're talking about the actual functionality of deep scanning with the use of new MFDs. I've had fever dreams about that since 2018. Stalling sounds really good. You're wondering just how hard it's going to be to fly. Pilot bros, we are in for a treat. I hope it's hard. I hope that in order to fly something the size of a constellation in atmosphere, you need to have trained at it. Anything else besides that, starter ships, small ships, Cutlass Black, Cutter, 100i, Pisces, whatever that is, yeah, make that easier. But like once you start getting into the multi-crew ships, I really do hope that they focus on making it a challenge. What's up, Just Rind? Turret seats are currently being converted to use the new MFD system. Turrets also have a modified version of the vehicle status MFD, which shows more turret relevant information. Again, these are like, I don't want to call these polish features, but these are the things that you, when you're playing Star Citizen and you're like in a turret and you realize the turret's using the same screen as every other screen and you're like, this is just unfinished, you know? It has that feeling of like, they just slapped this on everywhere they need to because they have a screen here. Seeing specific screens made for things as unique as turrets and stuff helps to make the game feel more finished for sure. Another smaller UI element worked on was rearm and refuel terminal located at some landing pads. This required a few new UI tech elements which were resolved. Lastly, the vehicle loadout terminal is now largely functional, allowing players to see all the items available in their profile and equip them onto their ships in the Idris hangar. Vehicle features are currently working with the UI team to finalize how this terminal will work. Isn't the point of control surfaces to give more control, so Atmo flight should get easier for ships with control surfaces, harder without after rebalancing? Yes. Yes. It is going to give you more control, but it's also going to limit you to the speed of your flight. So control surfaces mean that at high speeds, we have more aerodynamic control, but it also means at slower speeds, we have to rely more on our maneuvering thrusters. And with the added heat system that comes with engineering, your maneuvering thrusters will start to overheat. They'll fail on you. You won't be able to hover as much. You definitely won't be able to hover as much upside down or straight up and down and stuff. So there's going to be, like, you can't just always fly fast. This is going to make it harder for people to come in for landings, looking for landings, flying into a derelict crash site where there's people shooting at them, maneuvering through a cave with their ship all those kinds of things will be a little bit more tense because now you have to think about your ship overheating. More excited about control surfaces than master modes? Yeah. Yeah, the flight model changes are more exciting than the master mode stuff. You'd imagine that capital ships won't be able to land on planets, and instead you would have to take smaller ships to venture down. Yeah, there are definitely ships that cannot go on planets. And I imagine ships, they just want to make it not worth it. Cost too much in fuel and stuff. Ooh, they're making a box on Star Citizen Live? That's cool. Love boxes. Game is starting to feel so depressing to watch it update all of what could be and never amounts to anything. Whoa, dude, anything? Were you here for 318? Honestly, I would, yeah, for a lot of people, right now is a good time to just stop paying attention to Star Citizen. Don't watch the updates, don't play the game, don't pay attention to the announcements, completely shut it down. Because people are becoming very frustrated, and I don't think it's worth it, really. It's not going anywhere, you know? Saber will be awesome. Caterpillar will be a pain in atmosphere. Oh, Caterpillar is going to be like flying a baton through the air. Won't use as much fuel if you use wings instead of thrusters. Indeed. Sorry, game just makes me angry. I have such a love-hate relationship with it. Yeah, I think that's painful though, man. Have you considered taking a break for a bit? Not that I'm telling you to go away or anything. Like, I'm not gonna force people to leave. I just want to help people feel better about this, you know? And I think it would suck to be excited for this game and watch it for so long, and then when it finally comes out, just have resentment for it and not be able to enjoy it. That sucks, you know? It's good for your mental health to take a break. Yeah, Cat Mom got to have a little siesta this summer from Star Citizen. You're on a break right now. Been on one for about 3 weeks. Solid. Yeah, that's worth it, man. I mean, for a lot of people, I would say just cut quits until 4.0 comes out. It's like, I don't think anything substantial is really going to happen until then. Maybe engineering gameplay, but overall, it seems like they're saving a lot for the 4.0, 4.x updates. All right, gameplay story section. At the start of July, gameplay story completed the setup for the air traffic controller operator seat. Huh. They followed this by updating all their scenes that involve operator seats to work with the approved metrics. This was quite a big undertaking, but it was great to see so many scenes that have been blocked for a long time finally get to finished state. Oh, that's cool. We like to hear that. Alongside this, they did implementation pass for a scene in Chapter 12 and used new mocap to update the start of a scene in Chapter 14. Wonderful. Yeah, like next year, Xfinity. Oh yeah, the AC updates are pretty cool. That's fair. Like if you're into just fighting and playing like that, the AC updates are solid. What else could be this year? I mean, I guess we could see a secondary update. We're going to see a lot of missions actually at the end of the year. Because we've got that heist mission, we've got cargo missions, we've got mining missions, investigation missions, bounty hunting missions. All of those are being worked on. So we could see a decent dose of missions as well as another cargo update and tractor beam update at the end of the year. But for most other stuff, I think would probably be coming next year. EVA Tier 2 could be a possibility too. And platforming updates. Supposedly, in 3.20, you'll be able to ledge grab everywhere. I can't confirm that from official sources, but a CIG dev did seem to say that it was going to be a thing. We'll have to see. When new bunkers coming? I doubt it until 4.0. I do sneak hopium bottles under the table. I am hopium incarnate. I'm sure people are rather annoyed with it, to be honest. Like, I see it in comments, actually. People are like, you're too positive about this stuff. But there are both things to be very annoyed about with Star Citizen, and there are also really good things to be happy about. It's just the nature of things, you know? Recently, Gameplay Features joined a large strike team to review and improve animations on the Idris. Last month, this involved creating new track views for deck crew entering the Gladius cockpit, checking the Gatling gun, and testing the main thrusters. On the graphics and VFX programming stuff, they talk about global illumination. We know about that. Temporal super resolution. We know about that. I'm guessing that's like DLSS and FSR. This is I'm assuming this is like upscaling in the game engine. Hopium is in short supply. It's in short supply. Keep it flowing. I gotta keep some enough for myself, man. I can't give too much away. I'm a net exporter. Supposedly, UK boy, you will have momentum. From what we're seeing, halting momentum when jumping out of ships is a glitch. And EVA Tier 2 is supposed to be tying into the IFCS system. So it should work on the same ideals, but we'll have to see. Ideals? Ideals. It stands for what's right, that EVA system. All right, we got AMD's memory allocation API that was on there with the Vulkan back end coming in. UI refinements. Feature team is working on water shader. We got water simulation. World builder system, yes. Gen 12 we talked about. Damage maps we talked about. Here's the new stuff. Multiple Squadron 42 specific issues were resolved too, such as gas cloud lightning problems, inconsistent damage maps, and a crash in Chapter 7. In addition, planet effects now use a LOD cull to prevent unnecessary simulation when an object is out of bounds, and the team added functionality to allow plasma ammunition to attach the characters. You know, they're doing a lot of things that are specific to certain chapters. Chapter 12, Chapter 14, Chapter 7. Like, these things are starting to sound like very specific single case glitches and problems that could mean good things about the polish and effort going into Squadron. Level design team's main focus throughout July was interstitials, including bug fixing and maintenance. With all of the team's scenes content now in game, they moved on to ensuring scenes reach the expected quality threshold and addressing specific details. Again, all of the scenes are complete in game. Now they're just working on polish. For example, are characters in their correct outfits? Are they aligned to the environment? Do they interrupt points work as intended? Are they head tracking? Do they work from various approach angles? Very polish heavy stuff. Do we know how many chapters are in Squadron? I think it's 27 or something like that. This significant undertaking requires working closely with the cinematics, gameplay story, and character teams to iron out various issues. Outside of scenes, progress was made on fail states. For example, punching a colleague will see players taken to the brig and getting a dressing down from the superior. I like it. I love it. Can I punch the superior too? He's trying to get me in trouble for punching one of my teammates, and I just punch him. I love it. We should get a propulsive backpack instead that's single use. Yes, agreed. MGL, entirely agreed. Love the content. Your videos are always professional and exciting. I'll be back later. Ciao, Stumafu. Space Tomato and Board Gamer present Hopium Cast, a Star Citizen podcast. I tried to get Board Gamer on our last podcast, but he was pretty busy. He had a bit of a back injury. Hope he's gotten better. But to be honest, you should see my podcasts are not super Hopium heavy. They're pretty critical of the game, actually. I think it depends on the topic a lot. If we're talking about something that's not in the game versus something that is, but yeah, we tend to get pretty mixed. Speaking of which, podcast in 1 hour, folks, with Goat from Escape from Tarkov. We'll be talking a lot about Star Citizen in that one. Touching or striking an officer is a no-no in the military. Well, I mean, so is sneaking ice cream onto your spaceship, but like, you don't think I'm going to do it in Squadron? Static Pop, good morrow. He is a bit better. Oof. That doesn't sound good. I hope, God, I hope it's not too serious. That's like a full week later. Cautiously Optimistic is the name of the game. Cautiously optimistic, but leaking from the ears with with excitement. Thought it was Star Citizen? No. Wait, I don't know. Maybe you're talking about something else. If you're talking about what I just said to Mongol, this is all Squadron stuff. Oh, you're doing conspiracy theory stuff. All right, I won't interrupt. Sorry. Carry on. Narrative's focus in July was preparing for the 2 upcoming performance capture shoots. Suits. Dialogue is used to support so many gameplay features that there have been a lot of recent reviews to ensure that the tutorials, instructions, and help that the various characters provide are in alignment with the gameplay experience. The team also identified, look at this, tutorials, instructions, help, capture suits, like, why do I keep saying suits? Look at all this stuff that we're going to go into Squadron 42 and then look back at Star Citizen and be like, geez, this game is not finished. Oh, in reply to the name of the game comment. Gotcha. These recording sessions also mean that much of the team's placeholder dialogue will soon be replaced by the actual performance. Yay! People across the studio are making sure to enjoy these inspired temporary performances by fellow team members while they still can. Oh, I bet those are saved somewhere. I bet we've got some great MP4 files of like random people from the studio doing their best at some of these capture shoots. Optimism will only start after server meshing is demonstrated to work. I get that. I feel that. That's a completely valid take. Server meshing is such an important thing at this point. A lot of this game rests on that working. Additionally, the team supported localization, assisting with subtitle validation. Yo, we going subtitles now. This process will be ongoing as some of the more recently captured audio still needs to go through the pipeline. It's important that the actual audio recordings are validated to the script to ensure that the subtitles are as accurate as possible. As often during the recording process, actors will slightly adjust lines to make them sound more natural. How often? Like, your people who speak 2 languages see this all the time, with the translations of captions just being completely off from what they're supposed to be saying. We'll be watching something in Turkish, and I'll be reading, and Mrs. Tomato will be like, that's not at all what they said. She has to re-explain it to me because the caption just didn't make sense. Localization, caption support, all this bug fixing, specific stuff in chapters. It's good news. Can't say it's the best news. I don't know what it means, but it sounds good. It sounds like late development stage stuff. In July, further updates were made to atmosphere and volumetric cloud rendering. Guided sampling used in the Cloud Ray Marcher was updated based on last month's improvements to transmittance volumes. The profiles themselves received additional filtering to reduce occasional block artifacts. Oh, did we already? We already read this. This is from the Persistent Universe monthly report. UI. July saw the UI team iterating on display layouts for Squadron 42's flyable vehicles to ensure they all look and feel unique, but retain the ease of use built on throughout the project. The concepts for the second main vehicle in the game are now signed off and ready to add. What? What does that mean? The concepts for the second main vehicle? UI are working closely with the vehicle artists on the cockpit for the third. Are they just talking about getting ships other than the Gladius updated, like the Saber and the Retaliator? Or are they talking about an entirely new ship? That's weird. Yeah, we're talking about Squadron 42 right now. I don't quite understand this one. Did anybody else have a take on that? Maybe they're just talking about the Saber? Maybe. Weird way to put it. Yeah, I'm sure you'll be using different ships throughout the game. I'm just wondering if they're talking about an actual new ship for the game, or if they just mean the Saber, which we already know is a second main vehicle. What if they're introducing another light fighter for Squadron? Like, what if they have plans for an entirely different light fighter we haven't seen? I don't put that past them at all. In fact, I would, I almost expect to see something like that. Yeah, UI concepts. It's not so much, I guess, yeah. So the concept is the UI. But why do they say second main vehicle? Yeah, I don't know. The multi-tool UI was also updated to make it much simpler and cleaner, while improvements were made to the AI markers and health widget. AR markers, though. UI also updated several interaction menus and continued developing one of the key 3D displays in the game. Yeah, you can kind of choose a path. I think the idea is that you'll get access to different ships as you get higher and higher, not ranked, but maybe as you earn more reputation on the Idris. They'll be like, hey, you're a lieutenant, blah, 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 blah. I don't know their ranks. Now you can fly a Saber if you want, or you can stick with the Gladius if you like that more. Oh yeah, there's also the Hornet. Interesting. So I guess this is just, they're just trying to say whatever vehicle you choose as your second vehicle could be a thing. And whatever you choose as your third could be a thing. Weird way to put it. The core technology team improved building blocks runtime performance, as the recent addition of the new UI assets led to an increase in size and complexity. This involved coding more aggressive solutions for skipping hierarchy section updates, which led to a reduced CPU footprint and significant performance gains. That was loud. Hey, Shifty. How you doing today? Finally, UI worked alongside graphics to develop a new internal map system to help players navigate the game's complex cities, planets, and capital ships. We saw that in the PU monthly update. And from VFX, last month the VFX team continued to work on fire propagation, with the shader improvements from the previous month adding greatly to the overall visual quality. The artist created new particle effects for fire to work in harmony with the shaders. The shaders were like things being burnt, you know, fiery stuff. Further improvements were also made to gas cloud lightning effects, including a new option to allow lightning to follow a moving vehicle. What? So like as you're moving throughout a gas cloud, the storm could move with you? Is that what they mean? Or are they talking about like lightning straight up chasing me as I fly, like static shock status? Because that's a little scary. Semi-tractor trucks for underground. Huh, that'd be fun. If new ground vehicles. You think the Bolt tracking you as you fly? I see. They don't mean follow literally. They mean follow as in understand where the ship is. Yeah, that makes more sense. Last month, they also said that they've made it so that the lightning, when it strikes your ship, will trigger your shields. Folks, the cinematic possibilities of this game is insane. Lightning striking my spaceship. Why would I ever care about that? Because it's cool. Oh man, love those types of things. I mean, yeah, they don't finish the game, but geez, when the game is finished, those are the things that I'm going to actually be focused on. So that's the Squadron 42 month report. Some good stuff in here. I didn't see the B word. Where was that? Oh, here we go. Animation team moved from alpha to beta work. Ah, I see. This involved improving the visual results of reloads and takedowns as well as basic idles for weapons and knives. It makes sense. I mean, for Squadron 42, I can understand teams getting feature complete at this point. And we thought EMPs were bad. Imagine a ship that can harness the lightning. That just makes me want one of those spaceships from the Matrix. The Nebuchadnezzar, I think it's called. And they have like those really cool maglev pads on the outside that do electricity to the tunnels that they're flying through. Ah, it's freaking cool. I would say that's definitely one of the things that got me very into spaceships was Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Revolution. You could say whatever you want about the ships, but they did really, really cool with the world building in those movies. Could act as an EMP. That would be cool. Imagine flying through atmosphere and lightning hitting it with the sound. Oh, the cracking of the lightning as you're flying through a storm going down to a planet. Like, those are the types of things that I'm like, Starfield's gonna do something for me, you know? Starfield's really gonna hit something I love. Create a player, make all your decisions, run through dialogue, run cool missions, explore space, fly in a spaceship, all that stuff. But when it comes down to the details, like deep scanning, ripping a ship apart and taking it with me, getting cargo from one ship to another, taking my friend with me through a gas cloud and getting struck by lightning, like that kind of stuff is definitely what draws me back to a game like this. Guesstimate on how long to play Squadron from start to finish as a player. 1 week, 6 months. Depends on how obsessed you are. I'm hoping that we get at least a 20-hour game. I think if the campaign at a casual pace, you're not speed running, but you're also not really trying to complete everything and go everywhere. I think if I'm getting 20 hours of gameplay from this campaign, I'm good with it. But I don't play very many games, very many single player games that aren't open-ended, so I'm not used to estimating how long a campaign should be. One of my favorite campaigns of all time, Halo Combat Evolved, was like 12 hours long. At this point, people would say they wouldn't pay $60 for that because people are equating price with length for some reason. But I think that 20 hours is a solid playtime for something like this. Yeah, it's a first out of 3. And they've got another game to work on, you know? You hope they didn't copy-paste Ender's Game plot? How would they do that? We already know the enemy. No, I don't think they're going to release this as an alpha. They're doing all their alpha and beta testing behind closed doors. You know what? Let me look for something real quick. When did they start the Squadron 42 monthly reports? Was that last year or 2 years ago? 2021. Okay, so January 2021 we had one. What about 2020? I kind of want to see what they were saying. Cool. So this was back around when they said that this game was going to go to beta. Let's take a look at the kinds of things they're saying when it comes to... Oh, they didn't even have a feature section back then. Look at that. I don't know. Let's just pick a section and see what they're talking about. Gameplay story. May saw the gameplay story team begin work on previously untouched scenes from chapters 5 and 13. They also continue to support the teams with polish work on chapter 4 scenes and new abandons for chapter 8. So they were talking about polish in some places. How about on the level design? Social design team further developed usables and NPC behaviors alongside ongoing scene work. These systems were previously assigned to separate feature teams while the pipelines and technology were being developed. Level design continued to work alongside FPS AI to integrate more of the new behaviors that recently came online. They're currently working closely with art to build out some of the optional routes through levels. User interface. The UI tech team spent the month working on a new system to allow them to easily add 3D objects to screens, such as icons for the player visor and inventory. The concept artists finalized the look of the lens and scanning UI and are close to having final concepts for the style of the Gladius HUD, one of the key UIs in Squadron 42. So that was 3 years ago. Last month, the animations team assisted in the development of body dragging, throwing, and knockdowns. They also animated weapon reloads and malfunctions for Spec Ops NPCs, completed Vanduul look dev and locomotion, and animated actions to enable AI to undertake generic inspections, move crates, and complete hangar actions. Work continued on capital ship operator seats, bar patrons, bartender animations, and hollow globe actions too. To be honest, this stuff actually sounds kind of similar. Right? So in this one, they're talking about animated weapon reloads and malfunctions for Spec Ops NPCs. And in this one, they're talking about reload animations for enemy Spec Ops weapons types. Is girl. Weapon reloads for Spec Ops NPCs. Reload animations for Spec Ops weapons. That's when I just want to sit somebody down and be like, whoa, did they give up on it back then? Now, I'm not saying that like this is wrong or that they're doing something wrong, but we're not game developers, you know? We don't know how these things get built. It says continued working on it in the latest one. Right. That's what I want to know. Did they do this stuff and then just kind of put it down and then pick it back up this year? Did you just assume we're our game developers? I've made the call. Nobody in this chat is. You're not allowed to be. If you're here, you've just lost your position as game developer. Yeah, weapon animations, not NPC animations. That could be it. It's just really, really close vernacular. But yeah, I mainly came back to this monthly report because I wanted to see what the kind of vocabulary they were using and the ways they were talking about the game itself, and see if we were kind of getting a different vibe from this, since we're clearly at a different stage of development 3 years later. You're not a game dev. How did I know? I asked Chris, obviously. He knows all. They just need to say they did something, don't have to show anything. Well, they're gonna have to show something at some point. A whole game and stuff. You know, about a year ago, all the devs shifted focus. It was a little bit longer than that. It was fall of 2021 when they shifted around focus from Star Citizen more towards Squadron. Maybe they just redid them again. Ah, it is all about iteration. They say it. They do. You've modded DayZ once, doesn't that count? I mean, it makes you more game dev than me, that's for sure. Show feet. Give me toes. Where's the toes gang in chat? All right, folks. Like I said, that is about it for me today. It's a short stream. We didn't even go 2 hours. Because, like I said, we've got... Yeah, things get reworked. So I've heard. Yeah, Antics, you're just going to want to delete Unity from your computer. Go ahead and forget about whatever plans you had for that. You're not a game dev anymore, sorry. It's official. There's the toes. I see you. Stanko, Knights, Nemesis, and the Punch. OG Toes energy. You got here at the end, so you have to get the VOD. No problem. VOD's not bad. It's an easy watch. Nice to digest. Very short. Thank you all for joining me today for another short. Let's see. Tomorrow there's not going to be a stream. We've actually got a wedding to attend. Very excited for this one too. We've got like a whole busload of Americans that have come over here for a wedding for one of our friends in town. So should be a fun time. And after that, I should have a video out tomorrow. Oh, this is a fun video, guys. I've been working on this one for a few weeks. It is basically what I have learned after 4 years of covering Star Citizen. It's really focused on one main message, but it kind of is rambly in that I just explain ultimately how I feel about where we are in development. It's a lot of what you guys hear on the stream. Things are rough, things are slow, and for the most part, a lot of people shouldn't be trying to keep up with it all right now. But the video makes it a lot more appealing, I promise. So that should be out tomorrow night, or morning, I guess, for you guys in America. And then I've got an economy deep dive that we went over recently. That'll be up probably in the next 24 hours. And we'll be right back to normal streams on Monday, folks. So tomorrow, no stream. Monday, back to normal. Videos this weekend. And podcast in about 30 minutes. Again, with what's his face? Goat. I know his name. Just wanted to say that. This is the first time you've actually caught live? Undisputed Noobs. I'm glad you got in here. Like... last minute too. We're about to finish things up. Turkish wedding with 800 people? Probably. Wanted to hear your take after Morph's. Morph's take? Did he do one like that? Like a retrospective kind of thing? Thank you, Knights of the Dice Table. You stay plump and juicy as well, my friend. All of y'all, stay juiced, stay plump, keep the garden close, and have a good time, y'all. Yeah, make sure to hang around on the Discord. I will put an announcement out to all supporters before we go live for the podcast, so hopefully you won't miss it. But until next time, folks, on Monday, I'll catch you later. Have a good one, be happy, go give someone a hug. And cheers.